This spotlight is brought to you by GT Arcade. GT Arcade is your #1 stop for free-to-play browser and mobile games. If you got an internet browser, which you should, or if you got a mobile device like an iPhone or Android device, again, which you should, or if you got a Facebook account, then hey, you're all set. You can choose from a select number of titles available. They got Rangers of Oblivion, an MMO where you take up the job as a ranger that hunts down monsters and eradicates the corruption that plagues the land. There's also Era of Celestials, use mystical sprites to aid you in battle, transform into a powerful Elysian to decimate your opponents and face off against other players in classic PvP. Or Legacy of Discord, take on the role of an ancient Greek god and hear their tales through aerial battles, cooperative play, or PvP with endless customization thanks to all the items and equipment you can earn in gameplay. And also there's Rise of Ragnarok Asunder. Choose from a warrior, a mage, an assassin, or cleric and explore vast worlds from ancient Egypt, the Mayan jungle, and Atlantis. But those are just a few examples of what you can experience in GT Arcade, so go and give them a shot. I'd rather spend my time playing those than hearing another word about the Sonic the Hedgehog movie trailer again. It's all over the place and it's Paramount's fault. Follow the link in the description below and claim your $10 GT Arcade gift pack today using the code on the screen. Today on Spotlight. Good evening, everybody. Good morning. I don't know what time zone you're in at the time of you watching this, but I got an old-fashioned Spotlight video for you today because it's gonna be some time before I get a dedicated Johnny versus video out for Team Sonic Racing, the latest in the racing series for Sonic the Hedgehog. Last one was Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transform, also produced by Sumo Digital. I mean, they're pretty much responsible for all of the Sonic and All-Star Racing games, the first being Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing, which I thought was an okay racing game. I didn't think it was any Mario Kart, and I haven't really played it since like my original SGB review I did so many years ago. But All-Star Racing Transform I thought was a good time. I really did like how Sumo Digital found a way to incorporate, cars, motorboats, and airplanes into the track design to make it a really thrilling experience that one might argue is a little rough around the edges, but I still think was a solid racing game overall. I'd still play like Mario Kart 7 or 8 over it, but for a racing game with Sonic the Hedgehog, I think it was perfectly fine. That said, Team Sonic Racing is their latest endeavor, and like the All-Star thing is just completely gone. It's just Sonic the Hedgehog and friends this time, which I mean, I don't want to generalize and say that that's what folks kind of thought the other games were at all. I mean, for God's sakes, the first game was called Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing. Sonic got top billing there because he and always will be the top Sega IP. Everyone else is just second bananas. So yeah, that's how it works. So for them to just get rid of the other Sega characters, I'd imagine might leave a bad taste in a lot of other folks' mouth, because especially for those that really want another Knights game or Samba de Amigo or Space Channel 5. It might be a little sad for you to see the other characters get the axes. Strictly Sonic the Hedgehog. Personally, I'm okay with that because, whatever. I mean, if I think of Sega, I think of Sonic the Hedgehog. It's always going to be my first thought that comes to mind. So, whatever. I'll live with it. That said, for this Spotlight, I figured I'm just going to give you a few racing courses here. If you never tuned into a Spotlight video before, well, especially like kind of like an old school version of it, because nowadays I just do these as live streams on Twitch, so I have audience interaction, so I can get their first impressions and all that. I'm doing this really late at night, which is why I decided not to live stream it. And I'm not feeling that good. I had to cancel an Octopath Traveler live stream to do this, and I wanted to get this video out because it's going to be some time before Pokemon Gale of Darkness is ready to go. So I figured I'd give you guys a video for the week before I get ready to just batten down the hatches for Pokemon, because I got Gale of Darkness up on the plate next, then afterwards I got to get Generation 4 ready, all before too many games this coming June, because I also have to get a bonus video ready for that. So here we are with Team Sonic Racing, and this game has a story mode, believe it or not, and it's a little weird. I'm kind of the presentation reminds me a lot of Sonic Rivals for the PlayStation Portable and Sonic Rivals 2. It's a lot of static images that, change emotions and all that. That's always a fine thing. Full out voice acting, which is always a cool thing. Pretty much the same folks that have been voicing the characters since, I want to say, Sonic Boom and Sonic Colors. Everyone's putting in pretty much a top-notch performance. Knuckles sounds completely different, though. I'm not sure if it's not the same person anymore. I don't really know any of the voice actors and actresses besides Roger Craig Smith and Mike Pollock as Dr. Eggman. I don't really look everyone else up because, those are the only two that immediately come to mind. But this dude here named Dodonpa is challenging us to a race
Seems pretty skeevy. He insults our intelligence. He's kind of skinny on the details, but you know, Sonic is very curious about the machines. Everyone else is just kind of going along with the ride. So we get in our vehicles and, you know, we have at the races. And this is something that kind of caught me off guard. You know, story mode is kind of like, I was kind of reminded of Mario Galaxy 2, where you just select the stage and you go through like this charted map as you're proceeding along. You might notice right there on the top right, it says installing, because I downloaded the game off the PSN. I'm playing a digital version off of the PlayStation 4. And when it said download complete, the game is ready to go, I thought, okay, that means I'm ready to go. So I put up the game, and it turns out it was only done downloading half of the game, but that's enough to at least select story mode and at least do the first stage. So after this, when I had to turn the game off and wait for the rest of the game to finish downloading, it took about like 15 minutes. I was like, God damn it. I meant to get a physical version of this, but I was kind of pressed for time. This game came out at a time where I was just too busy preparing for MomoCon, so I didn't have the time to go to a GameStop or just order it off Amazon and get a physical copy, because normally I'm all about getting physical copies from my PlayStation 4 library. But I figured, you know, Team Sonic Racing, it's kind of a budget title. I really don't care about dropping $40 on this game right then and there, just for the sake of playing it on the console. You know, I am going to eventually review this game, so I figured, why not? And yeah, it is only $40. This is not a full price game. Well, you know, that's kind of been the case with Sonic games for like the last, I want to say 9 years, because I think starting with Sonic Colors and such, that was only like $50. I think Sonic Unleashed, to my knowledge, was like the last full price Sonic game, at least on the HD version. Because I think Sonic Colors was $50, as was Lost World Generations was also $50. Everything else is just kind of like a borderline budget title, because you know, $40 is still a little much. You know, it's not an indie, but it's still, it's not asking for full price. And in a game like this, I feel that's really nice, because I mean, what you see is what you get for Team Sonic Racing, really. If you played one Sumo Digital racing game in the Sonic franchise, you've played them all. I mean, that's kind of an overgeneralization, I want to say, because it's more applicable if you played Sonic and also as Racing Transformed, because I'm reminded heavily of that. I want to say the controls are a little tighter. The course design is a little more forgiving. Because as we're going to see here, I mean, this is also the first world, and I'm choosing the normal difficulty just to get things started. But it's a relatively comfortable breeze, you know. And you hold down the R trigger to accelerate, you hold down the left trigger to drift, and you have like 3 drift levels. And then after you get your 3rd drift level, you let go of the drift and you get a sudden boost. You do have items with you at all times too. They take the form of WISP capsules in this game, which makes perfect sense. You know, the WISP since Sonic Colors have been pretty much the Sonic franchise's de facto power-up next to, you know, power sneakers, invincibility box, shields, the elemental shields. So it makes perfect sense for them to be, you know, weapons for a racing game. The rocket that shoots straight in a line, doesn't home on anything, but it does bounce. It's pretty much like the green Koopa shell from Mario Kart. You have Cube, which pretty much acts as like a bomb or an obstacle that you drop behind your car, and your opponent can run into it. And you also have things like a bomb, which you lob in front of you and explodes after a certain amount of time. And there's also the Burst Wisp from Sonic Colors DS, where you leave a fiery trail behind your vehicle as you're driving. It's actually one of my favorites, because it's good for keeping yourself in the lead if you got someone on your tail. You know, because especially in the later courses, enemies will do a good job, you know, tailing your ass. I don't know if this game has any really bad cases of rubber band AI, but I did find myself using the burst whips a couple of times when enemies were right on my tail, and it was good for keeping them at bay. They will spiral out of control and give me a comfortable lead. Now, a big thing about Team Sonic Racing is that it's not just you, but it's you and 2 other folks in your team. And in Sonic's case, you know, Team Sonic is Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles classic trio. You know, Amy, it's like Amy Rose, a Baby Chow, and Big the Cat. I'm surprised they went with a Baby Chow and not Cream the Rabbit, just to, you know, really lay on the Sonic Heroes references. I think Cream's in this game somewhere else. I'm not sure on that. I have not unlocked everything at the time of this recording. Again, when I get to the versus video of this, it'll be a more complete experience. I'll have story mode done and all that. because for this spotlight video, I'm only doing a couple of races from the beginning of the story and a exhibition race later as Blaze the Cat, because Blaze the Cat is in this game and you're fucking real. I'm going to play as Blaze the Cat. She's one of my favorite characters in the franchise, period. And to learn that she's in this game is just, I don't want to say that's a day one buy, but that is a very solid reason to invest in the product. Now, in terms of the mechanics of the racing game itself, again, not much has changed since Transformed. Well, the vehicle transformations are completely gone. This is pretty much just a standardized racing game. So you're always in one vehicle, no boats, no planes, what have you. It's pretty much Mario Kart through and through. However, you may notice a yellow trail behind your partners. That is you can do what's pretty much a slingshot. It reminds me a lot of the turbulence from Sonic Riders, only it's much easier to handle in this game, because in Sonic Riders, you had to actively jump into the turbulence to take advantage of it, and I always found that a little awkward. On top of that game being so mechanically intensive, it was just not very beginner friendly. It wasn't very intuitive. In Team Sonic Racing, it's just a yellow trail that you can drive on and you get a boost. As long as you can stay behind your buddy, you will speed up along with them, and it's a great way to keep things up, because teamwork is a big part of Team Sonic Racing. And one of the favorite things that I like to do in this game is when you get an item, no matter what place you are, 8th place, 1st place, if you don't need that item at all, you can actually offer that item up to your teammates. You hit the circle button, I think, in the PS4 version, and you will offer up your item to anyone that wants it. And doing so will not only give your teammate, an item to use in case, they're falling behind or maybe they want some extra defense, but it also helps build up your ultimate meter, much like in Sonic and All-Stars Racing and the first game and Transformed. Once you build an ultimate, you pretty much just do a super maneuver. In Team Sonic's case, I'm not sure if this is different for everybody else, but in Team Sonic's case, you just pretty much go way faster. And I think you're invincible while charging. So the idea of you, here's the the ultimate move right now, playing a nice little remix of Knuckles' theme from Sonic Adventure 1. The fact that you can donate items, so to speak, to teammates when you don't need it for any reason, and there is incentive for doing so, I think is a really neat mechanic. It gives purpose to items that you wouldn't use otherwise, because say in Mario Kart, when you're in first place, you're often more likely than not going to get a banana or a coin. And in a coin's case, I mean, if you're already maxed out of coins, that's pretty much a waste of an item slot. So at the very least in this game, you can give up the item to a teammate and help build up that ultimate meter, just so that you can get a boost for later on in case you fall behind. And as you can see in this course itself, falling behind may sneak up on you, because if there's one complaint that I have off the bat with Team Sonic Racing, just from initial impressions, is that some of the course design is a little confusing. In cases like this, where you're pretty much going through a anti-gravity tunnel where you can drive up the ceiling no problem, like you're playing F-Zero, I think it's the road that you can travel on is not immediately obvious. And you saw earlier, if you're watching the video, not using it as background noise, I clearly slammed into the rock ahead of me, because I wasn't sure if the road, if that was an obstacle that I can burst through as Knuckles, because the game does tell you that power characters can burst through certain hazards, or maybe there was maybe a shortcut, or maybe the road just disappeared. But it was disorienting, and I wasn't sure where to go. But yeah, that's a thing that you can that's a thing that can happen. And what I'm showing off right now is another something else that you can do in the middle of story mode. Sometimes it's not always a standard race, but you can also do gimmick courses, or in this one, you can drive through checkpoints and accumulate a lot of points. Basically, you want to drive through as many checkpoints as possible before time runs out. To my knowledge, you can't increase the timer. It's just a matter of how many checkpoints can you go through at once. And by completing, by scoring higher and getting more points, you can pretty much unlock more racing tokens, so to speak. which you can spend to unlock cosmetics, because this game, much like Mario Kart, has extra cosmetics for your vehicle, like different wheels, different skins for your car, what have you. I don't think any of it improves stats. Again, that's just from initial impressions. I think it's all cosmetic, and I would hope it is, given how you unlock stuff in this game. So basically, you collect tokens, and you go to the garage, and then you just spend the tokens in what's pretty much a glorified, like, gumball machine. You just put the coins in, you get an item, and the item, to my knowledge, is completely randomized. So I hope you like gacha games, or it's kind of in a way it is kind of like a randomized loot box, so to speak. It doesn't cost you money, you know, you're using in-game currency, but you're pretty much gambling for accessories. And I'm not sure if there's a way where you can get like specific skins for your favorite characters. Otherwise, you're just playing a shitload of races, you're collecting more tokens, and then just spending those tokens in the slot machine and hoping for the best. I'll demonstrate later what you can get from it. But if you're lucky, you can get some legendary skins for your other characters. I happen to get a legendary skin for Blaze. It's like, okay, I think that's it's pretty much incentive to just stop what I'm doing and playing the game as her right now. So let's go and do that. So my first time through the pinball course is not exactly my best performance, because I wasn't aware that driving through the red rings is how you do your score multiplier. So I try and do a better job here. I still don't make more past than a silver medal, I think, which is, you know, this doesn't really ask for much, but you have to have like I think they want you to use like a faster character that has worse handling to get a better score. Although if you can do it as Amy Rose, then I mean, I love to see that. Go right ahead. I just wanted to change it up for a bit. So this is what I was talking about, mod pods, basically. You spend your tokens on these, and you can get a plethora of items completely randomized, to my knowledge. You can get, you know, again, skins for your vehicle's body, the tail at the very end of it. I don't know the proper terms for all this. I'm not really a car junkie when it comes to tricking out your ride with all the hottest materials. Again, if my choice of language does not make that obvious, I don't know what to tell you. But you can also get some WISPs as starting items for your next race. I'm not sure if there's a finite amount of these, or whether or not they're just something you can just use whatever you want, but you can start a race off with a WISP at your disposal. I did not do that for the spotlight because I kind of forgot about it, honestly. But, you know, I'd imagine it to be pretty nifty if you can start out with a WISP boost, especially for like higher difficulties. I'd imagine if the AI is giving you crap from the get-go, it would probably be really beneficial if you started with a WISP that, you know, took you to first place immediately, or a burst WISP so that you can leave a trail of fire right as you take the lead. But yeah, I got a legendary skin for Blaze's vehicle there, that gaudy as hell, you know, gold tail that clashes with the rest of the vehicle, but whatever, it's legendary, so I gotta use it by default. But if the team mechanic of Team Sonic Racing isn't your cup of tea, there are standard races, as you can see here, where it's pretty much a traditional one versus all race. There's no teammates at all. You're pretty much playing Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing and Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed again without the transformative vehicles. So we're gonna end this off with one more race as Blaze the Cat, because again, love Blaze, and I thought. I haven't spent enough time on this, but this game does look amazing. Again, I am playing this off of the PlayStation 4. The game is also, I think, on the Xbox One and PC and Nintendo Switch. I don't know what it's like on the Switch. If I were to take a guess, I would say maybe the frame rate's cut in half, or maybe, you know, the frame rate's not cut in half, and, you know, the visual fidelity is just a little lower. Well, you know, you kind of expect that though. Though I'd imagine you probably have more folks playing it on the Nintendo Switch rather than the PlayStation 4. So, hey, whatever floats your boat, it's available on a lot of platforms. So, but yeah, no matter what, the game just looks fantastic. Every course design is faithfully taken from their respective Sonic game. Market Street here, is pretty much a rooftop run from Sonic Unleashed. The Generations version specifically, because we got all these balloons and confetti and hot air balloons floating in the sky. You know, rooftop run was and always will be one of my favorite stages in Sonic history, because I just love the music, the sense of speed you can get, you know, going as fast as possible. It's just energy personified. And to have that in a racing game is kind of like, that's a no-brainer. You obviously bring that in there. The remix for the stage, though, I won't say I like it more than the original mix of Rooftop Run or the Generations version, which I think is like the best version of that song, but it does pretty well. The soundtrack as a whole, I think, you know, for a while I thought Team Sonic Racing was just a glorified soundtrack that, you know, Sonic Team or Sega was promoting, because if you follow like the official Sonic the Hedgehog Twitter account, for the longest time when this game wasn't getting much press, they were pushing the hell out of the soundtrack. And for a while, that's all they felt like they talked about was the music. And for good reason. I mean, it's a surefire bet that if Sonic is going to be good in anything, it'll be its music, its soundtrack. The one thing that has consistently remained good throughout the Hedgehog's, you know, haphazard career. And just from what I've heard, just in social media updates and what's available on, I think, Spotify, there's a lot of reasons to really enjoy Team Sonic Racing's soundtrack. And one of my favorite mixes so far, I have to say, is probably, I believe, Cool Edge from Sonic Unleashed. A stage I played earlier. I don't show it off for this video, but I did play that, and that remix is fantastic. I don't remember who they got for all of these remixes. I'd imagine they got the original composers from all the respective Sonic games. I know T. Lopes is involved in some capacity. Again, I haven't really looked at the credits list for this. But as far as you know, as far as music goes for a racing game, Team Sonic Racing does it really well. And that's about it, pretty much all we're going to have it for today. You notice that in the middle of racing, your character will actually talk. And I was a little worried about this at first, because like for the first few stages, your characters kind of don't shut up. And I'm thinking, oh no, this is going to be a problem, isn't it? Well, it can't be a problem, because they give you the option to turn off the banter in the options menu. You can also just lower the voices in case you don't want to hear, you know, talking, but still want to read the subtitles, I guess. And a really cool thing about this game is that characters will interact with each other in some way. I didn't really get any sort of like, you know, humorous interactions in my playtime for this spotlight video. But right there, especially, like, Blaze really goes and hammers in her dislike of heights, which makes no sense to me, given all the shit that she can do in Sonic Rush. And she has hover boots. So nothing's going to happen, Blaze. You're going to be just fine. But from what I've seen in other folks' experience with the game, you know, Eggman can say some pretty humorous things, which, you know, goes without saying, it's Eggman. Well, Mike Pollock is Eggman. Sonic and Silver have some pretty funny interactions, too. Like, Silver's recharacterization post Sonic 06, Sonic Rivals, has been nothing but, you know, A+ material. And I really wish that at some point or another, if they ever bring him into another mainline game, they just use that personality and take full advantage of it, because that could lead to a lot of good writing, I feel. But that's all we got for today. Again, this is Team Sonic Racing, and it's out now for a lot of consoles. Again, the dedicated Johnny Versus video, I want to say will be good sometime next month, right as Crash Team Racing, the remake, will be released. So, you know, maybe I might have a double header there. Not like 2 racing games in one video, but like, you know, maybe back to back. Because right now, I really want to focus on Pokemon Gale of Darkness and Pokemon Generation 4 before 2 minute games. So I hope you enjoyed the spotlight for tonight. Thank you all for watching. Have yourselves a fantastic night, and take care.
And once again, special thanks to GT Arcade for being today's sponsor. One last time, real quick as a reminder, GT Arcade is your #1 stop for free-to-play browser and mobile phone games. Choose from several titles such as Rangers of Oblivion, Era of Celestials, Legacy of Discord, and Rise of Ragnarok Asunder. All available on your browser of choice, Facebook, Google Play, or the App Store. Click the link in the description to claim your $10 GT Arcade gift pack today with the gameplay code you see on the screen here.